Tampa Bay Rowdies, who have made a huge upset.
Your 2021 Eastern Conference champion.
Let's have it. Let's go! Oh, that is a delicious goal for Tampa Bay.
And now, you're tuned into Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
Hello, everyone out there in Tampa Bay and beyond. This is James Knowles coming at you for the RBLR Sports podcast. I am here tonight to cover the Tampa Bay Rowdies like I usually do. So, if you are unsurprised by that, hold on, everybody. We are still going. Pause. Let's not listen to the intro again here. But yes, we are going on. I guess that was the surprise, right? We are going on with our preview of the season. And to do that, we are going to talk about a preseason game relatively quickly. Don't want to spend too much time on it. Why? Because we have another Rowdy to interview tonight. We are going to be interviewing Pedro Dolabella, yet another one of the new Rowdies players, in fact. And so we are very excited. We appreciate every time that the Rowdies let us have one of their players to actually get to know him. Hopefully all of the fans get a little bit more information about these players and they get a little bit more insight into them. I think that that's why people really latch on to players, is they just learn, this little thing about this guy, whatever it is. So, we're hopeful that we will be able to do that tonight with Pedro Dolabella. Before we get into anything, though, I do want to ask Carlos, how are you doing?
I'm good, James. I'm really excited to chat with Pedro later. I love his play style. I'm so excited he's playing for the Rowdies. He's a 6'4" midfielder, which is just so rare. You know what I mean? So I'm really excited to have him here on the squad and, of course, have him on the podcast. We'll get into all that chat later on with him. Another player I have a personal college soccer connection to, which has been fun because he beat a bunch of my friends on the Georgetown squad in 2021 with this like super team of international players at Marshall, which, James, we talked about this before. It kind of set a trend of what we would consider like non-soccer powerhouses in college soccer going out and getting like almost exclusively international players. It worked for Marshall. It worked for Vermont a couple seasons ago. And it's been making the college soccer landscape a lot more competitive across the board. So Pedro Dolabella, part of that trend. We'll definitely jump into that a little bit with him later on. And obviously talk about the Rowdies and the transition and everything. But James, you mentioned it. There's a preseason game to talk about. Which I could not find the stream for this time. It was Philadelphia Union that allowed me to stream on their YouTube account last time they played that preseason matchup. No such luck with Montreal, but you were there. You can tell us a little bit about what happened. I know what the score was, and I know that we played 120 minutes for some reason.
Yeah.
Other than that, I could tell you who scored, and that it was cool to have fans there again. So I'm excited to talk about that. Again, probably more excited to talk about, have a chat with Pedro later. And we have 2 more preseason games to get to this week, by the way.
Yes.
One today, if you're listening to this when it comes out, and then one this weekend, which both will be a good time. So get out to those, go support the Rowdies, get another good look at the team as they start to gel ahead of the season opener against Birmingham Legion, followed by a bye week. Followed by the home opener. So we'll see how everything starts to gel together, James. So I'm excited. That's all I can say. The season is around the corner. We have opportunities to see the Rowdies in person in February, which, again, I've said this before. I'll say it again. Don't take that for granted. When last season it took us until mid to late April to see the Rowdies in person at home. So this is a great opportunity and something we shouldn't take for granted as fans. I would love to see the Sunshine. What do we call it? The Sunshine Invitational officially come back.
Right.
That was fun. We get some, put a title on it and, invite a bunch of random teams. But this has been great too. So I'm excited to see more opportunities for the Rowdies fans to see the guys in person. One word to sum it up, James. I'm excited. How are you doing before we get into all that fun stuff? What's going on down in what I think is sunny Tampa Bay? What's going on down there?
It is getting sunnier and it is getting warmer. This past weekend, I took in the Rowdies game, as we said. And if you were listening on Wednesday, just like Carlos said, then I will be at the game against Naples. So we're getting a little bit more of a view of how the Rowdies are going to shape up and potentially if there are any other players that might contribute to this roster, actually. There are obviously still trialists or people who are training with the club. They might not be signing with the team down the line, but still good to see them out there. Yeah. And then we will have, I think the Rowdies have 2 preseason games on Saturday, but only one, of course, that is open to the public. So if you want to get tickets to that game, it is against Sarasota. It is the Cokel Cup, named after a former USL HQ exec. So please do get tickets to that. It is not included in the it's not included in the season ticket holder package because it is a charity event specifically. So all profits obviously will go to the foundation based on the former USL executive that the competition is named after. All of that is pretty cool. Yeah. But we got a lot of stuff going on down here in Tampa Bay. And for RBLR Sports specifically, just want to say, obviously, we've got our interview tonight with Pedro Dolabella. We already have interviews lined up for next week with a former Rowdy, and then the week after with Taylor Hodges, who covers Birmingham Legion. So we are trying to get you basically coverage from all angles of the Tampa Bay Rowdies. I think that there's a lot to cover, and we're doing our best to set all of that up. But
isn't that crazy? James, in 2 weeks, we're talking with Taylor Hodges. Which means we're previewing the first game of the season. That's insane to me. It's flown by. It feels like we're just coming off the disappointment of not making playoffs last season. Like, I love it. I mean, it's just, we've had Rowdies content to carry us throughout the offseason from the club itself. I think we've had a great time just chatting throughout the offseason about what happened last year and what's going to happen this year, hopefully. Like, time flies. So strap in. Like, it's going to be a fun 2 weeks ahead of the opening game against Birmingham Legion, which, by the way, you should get out to.
Yes.
Go ahead. It's not a long trip from Tampa Bay. It's a fun drive. Take a road trip with the family. Take a quick flight and get out there and support the boys in the first game of the season and what's hopefully the start of a really, really successful era under Dominic Casciato.
Exactly. Yes. So please tune into that. When we get there, we will have all of these interviews lined up to try and get everybody as up to speed as possible. Like and subscribe to us on YouTube, any major podcast platform. And of course, please follow RBLR Sports on social media. All of your social medias at RBLR Sports. Let's get into our quick segment to cover the preseason game. I want to highlight a couple of things about this game. Obviously, we were playing CF Montreal in an MLS team, presumably a side with more money, presumably a side with better investment, better players, and all of that stuff. However, I will point out that the Rowdies, for significant portions of this game, looked better. I think that they were the better team for big portions of the game, especially before we ultimately brought on all of the extra trialists and subs that were that finished out the game. So, as we stated, the game was 2-0 after 90 minutes to the Rowdies. However, they played 120 minutes. I think it was just to help everybody get a little bit more fitness, which is fair enough, because a lot of these guys didn't play the whole first half or even the whole second half. So they wanted to give them more time over the course of what would be 120 minutes, obviously, an extra time game. But if we were going specifically by normal rules, then the Rowdies would have won this game 2-0, and that would have been the end of it. Unfortunately, in the 120 minutes that actually elapsed, it was a 2-2 draw. As I said in our Discord chat for RBLR, count it. We are going to say that this was a 2-0 win over Montreal.
A historic 2-0 win.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So, I think that's actually a pretty good result. And honestly, even for the players who came on later on in the game, when we gave up the 2 goals in extra time, it's unfortunate, but still they looked pretty good in a lot of positions. So it's players that are trying to see if they can maybe make the roster, players that are trying to give themselves a look in the future, more than likely. And I think that they also actually did pretty good in a lot of instances. I will highlight that we also could have made it 3. Unfortunately, one of our players, I believe it was Russell Cicerone. I can't remember offhand, but one of our players stole the ball off of the Montreal goalkeeper outside of his own box and tried to put it into the open net. But within the reaction time he had before somebody got to him to take the ball off his own feet, unfortunately, he shot the ball wide. If it was Russell Cicerone, it might have been somebody else. So that was unfortunate. I was screaming on the sideline and really hoping that we were going to get that one because it really would have been icing on the cake. But yeah, that's the way that it went. Our second goal was a penalty, I think relatively deserved because a player was sent off for Montreal. So yeah, keep that in mind. It got a little feisty at times, which is weird for a preseason game. But Carlos, we've seen that before too.
How do you get sent off in a preseason game, James? And you can give us some insight because again, I wasn't there and there was no stream to watch. But that's insane to me. I don't know what you're doing to get so feisty in a preseason game. I digress. James, take us through with the penalty. I believe that's someone who made up for the missed penalty recently as well, right?
Yes. So, Carlos, let's do the lineup here, and then we can hit on the players who actually scored the goals. But in net was Jamali Waite to start. Dion Akoff, Brian Schaefer, Nathan Dos Santos, and Charlie Ostrom started at the back. Pedro Dolabella, Marco Micheletto, Max Schneider, Russell Cicerone, and Carson Henderlong were the starters up the field. So with that, it often looked at times like 4 at the back when we were in possession, but I will note that Coach Casciato, he told me after the game that, 4 at the back is not something that they're doing throughout the whole game. It is situation specific, and it did change within the game as well. So just wanted to point that out. We also saw substitutions, so I'll go through those quickly. Austin Pack came on in the 91st minute. A trialist came on for Dion Akoff in the 70th. Lawrence Wyke for Brian Schaefer in the 60th. A trialist came on for Nathan Dos Santos in the 75th. It had Charlie Ostrom subbed out in the 60th minute for Sebastian Cruz, although Sebastian Cruz did not necessarily line up as the left back. So I'll point that out. Alex Mendez started and he came off in the 60th for Gino Vivi, player that we just brought in on loan. And Pedro Dolabella off in the 60th for Lewis Hilton. Marco Micheletto off for a trialist in the 75th. Max Schneider also off for a trialist in the 75th. It says Russell Cicerone, I believe, off for a trialist in the 75th, but it doesn't have somebody listed there. Carson Henderlong off for Alex Rodriguez in the 60th. So basically, 2 full different lineups, and everybody got a good amount of minutes in this game. I will point out as well, I was pretty impressed by the midfield play of Pedro Dolabella, who we're going to interview later. I did not say that just because of the interview. He was legitimately a very good addition for the vast majority of the game. And the other player that I wanted to highlight was Max Schneider, also in the midfield. I think that those two really looked good at times, and I think that they are helping our midfield really look positive against Montreal in these games. Marco Micheletto, it seemed like he was lining up out wide at times, so I'm not sure if that's something that we will continue to see or if that was another situation-specific thing. It was interesting to watch. I think that Carson Henderlong had a pretty good game up top, being a tough player for Montreal to handle on the defensive side. What was the other? Dion Akoff, I wanted to highlight. He did not start the game particularly well, in my opinion. He had a couple of mistakes where he missed his cue, but honestly, after 10 or 15 minutes, he was right back up to speed with everybody else, and he was doing extremely well after that. So that was one other thing that I wanted to highlight. Let me see. All right, I think that those are my long and short notes for now. Carlos, I will turn it back over to you here.
And you mentioned, I'm glad that you were there because it's giving me some good insights. So, I can kind of paint a picture in my head as to what's happening. You mentioned Max Schneider and Dolabella playing well in the midfield together. I think that's partly due to the fact that they already have this chemistry from, and again, we're talking about college soccer. They played together at Marshall University. They had some time together at Union Omaha as well under Dominic Casciato. Now they're playing together under him at the Rowdies. Like, I don't think that's by coincidence, obviously, that Casciato is bringing in, obviously, his guys from Union Omaha. But he's also bringing in guys that are already connected through their time at, I don't know, North Carolina or Charleston or Marshall University. Like, right. It's cool to see that there's already some good chemistry going on, that they're already playing well together in the midfield. I think that makes me settle some nerves, because what you naturally expect is there to be a long kind of like learning curve with a new roster, right? A big learning curve is probably the better word for it, right? That it'll take several games into the season to kind of figure each other out. But if you have all these guys that kind of already knew each other and kind of come in with their own little like conglomerates of connections before they get to the Rowdies, I can only imagine that makes the transition for the players and also for the coach, right, and Casciato, to make this chemistry kind of build naturally. I think it happens quicker, right? It just makes sense. So that's really cool to know. You mentioned Gino Vivi as well. This was announced this past week that he's officially been brought onto the Rowdies. Gino Vivi is 25 years old. He's coming over from LA Galaxy on loan, a native of San Jose, Costa Rica, and is kind of an attacking winger. Played college soccer at UCF. By the way, more connections here with Yanni Learman and Louis Perez. So again, another guy that's coming in that already knows two guys from his college soccer days. This is, first of all, again, to add on to this connections that the guys have before they get to the Rowdies. Great. That's awesome. Second of all, this was trialist number 11 from last weekend's game. If you were there or if you saw the stream on YouTube, who I mentioned last week, I felt had a pretty exciting game to him. Didn't notch an assist or a goal or anything, but seemed really, really confident on the right side of the field in that wing role he was playing. Got up the field really nicely, was really comfortable, sending in some low-driven passes into the middle of the box. Some beautiful footwork and some nice moves to take guys on one-on-one. I love seeing that exciting, brand of soccer on the wing when guys are confident enough to take people on. So excited to know that he's on the Rowdies. Don't necessarily know if he's a guy that gets a ton of minutes for the squad this year, but I could definitely see him being someone almost like Damian Rivera-esque, right? Kind of comes on, gives us some good minutes and generates some a boost, right, on the back 20 minutes or so. But who knows? Again, I don't really know anything about him other than that he was over at LA Galaxy, played some time at Ventura County FC and MLS Next Pro, the Galaxy's partner club, and had to do, 10 goals and 4 assists through his 34 appearances there. So he has a good level of production to him that certainly could transition well to this club. So yeah, I mean, it seems like a great find in a trialist. Would be curious to see what his role looks like with the Rowdies over the next several months. But again, if nothing else, a great depth piece to have to come off the bench for your squad. Did we mention the goal scorers already? I feel like that's probably important, right?
We did not.
James, can you take us through the goals as you saw it happen on the field?
Yes. So I believe, and I'm just trying to make sure that I have the correct order of everything here, but the Rowdies obviously got their 2 goals against a pretty good Montreal side, I would say. And in the first 90 minutes, let's just highlight that one more time. Yeah. Carson Henderlong in the 34th minute, and it was Russell Cicerone with a penalty in the 71st minute. So yes, Carson Henderlong's goal.
It looked kind of like a tap in from what I saw on Twitter.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember exactly how that built up. I don't remember which side it came down, but like I said, Carson Henderlong was a really tough player for Montreal to handle all night, and naturally ends in a goal. So that one was pretty good, and I believe that the play for Russell Cicerone's penalty was, like I said, the same play where I guess it was Montreal's Brian Vera who was sent off. So, I'm not sure. We were the fans and I that were in this specific area were not particularly happy with the referee for this portion. And then she awarded a penalty, which we couldn't quite see from how far back we were. I guess that the review seemed like it was probably a good call there. But yeah, Russell Cicerone stepped up and he put it away. I think you mentioned already that he had missed a penalty previously, so I think that it's perfectly good to give the player who missed a penalty in preseason another chance at a penalty in preseason and get that out of your system. He put it away and he buried it. Get all the confidence in the world.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. Yeah, get the jitters out, get all the mistakes out in preseason so that things kind of come naturally when the season progresses. Knowing that he missed that first penalty and giving it back to him again this past weekend, I'm curious if this is kind of who we're turning to anytime the penalty turns up, right? Leo Fernandez seems to be that guy for a couple of years. Before that, it was Guenzati that would get every penalty shout, every penalty kick. It was Hristov before that. I wonder if Cicerone is the guy who just is the designated penalty guy for the squad this year. And if he scores them all like he did this weekend, I'd be happy. So, James, one more thing I'll ask you about this game before we harp on it too much. You mentioned that it kind of looked like 4 in the back for a little bit, right? And that Casciato was saying that it wasn't really a kind of a full-time thing, that it was more situational. Can you tell, like, what else did you see going on in the back line there? Because that's what I was confused about when I was watching the game against Montreal, because it looked like 4 in the back for a little bit, and it was shifting, and it was kind of all over the place. And can you just tell us a little bit about what you saw in the back line in this game? I'm curious, just if you noticed any observations, if you had any observations on the back line.
Yeah, well, like I said, it did seem like the Rowdies were playing largely with 4 at times, especially in possession, I believe. I'm sure if I were saying this to the coaching staff, they would have contradictions for me, but not a problem. It looked often like 4 at the back, and then you go through the midfields that's in front of it: Alex Mendez, Pedro Dolabella, Marco Micheletto, Max Schneider. None of those guys are truly defensive players. Max Schneider can step back to receive the ball in between lines. And I think that the best way to think of this too is if you have previously, it probably would have been somebody like Aaron Guillen and, well, we can use the other substitute, Lawrence Wyke. They would be side by side and then kind of spread out a little bit, and Lewis Hilton can come back and get the ball in between them, build up that way. So that happened a couple of times too. And I think Alex Mendez was frequently responsible for carrying the ball forward, trying to move it along the way. Pedro Dolabella and Marco Micheletto were in positions that were a little bit higher, generally, not always, obviously. And I think it was Dolabella who actually did involve himself in the build-up for the first goal too. So those are things. And a lot of the players that came on afterwards, Gino Vivi came on for Alex Mendez. That is kind of a like-for-like swap. I think that Gino Vivi is a little bit more of a winger than the attacking midfielder or even central midfielder that we think of Mendez. Marco Micheletto, like I said, seemed to be on the wing at times. Not sure how much we're going to see that over the course of the whole season, but there's versatility there, and I think that the back line, there are options. There's more than one way to line this team up. Yeah. And honestly, that's positive, because you could say at times, I think for the Rowdies in a couple of years past, that when things weren't working, they didn't always have the best backup plan, right? Yeah. So if we have a lineup that changes within the game, then first of all, teams can't really line up to counter that. But if we also have good players to fill in at different positions, then we can go about things totally differently. So I think that'll help us out in the long run.
Yeah, could be hard to prep for sure if you're an opponent, opposing, analytics guy or film guy or coach, right? That you make a good point. That I like my team having like an identity. Like I've enjoyed the back 3 with the wing backs that we've done for the last number of years. Maybe that still is our identity going forward, but if we're mixing in some new looks and throwing in, a situational back 4, depending on the time of the game or whatever, and we're shifting formations, like I'm sure that would be beneficial for us as well. Like you're right. There maybe hasn't always been a great backup plan in the past 5 years we've been running this formation, right? Even when it's not going too well, we've kind of stuck to it and just thrown in the crosses from the wing backs and see what sticks. But you're right. I mean, who knows? Maybe this is a slight shift in the philosophy going forward. Again, this is mostly speculation. I don't think you've had a chance to chat with Casciato about this after the game this past weekend fully. Correct me if I'm wrong. But these are things we'll continue to see as preseason progresses and as the regular season approaches. So, yeah, you're right. A bunch of guys that can fill in different positions and do so pretty well. By the way, I'm really excited about Micheletto. Just the more I think about kind of where he can play and what he can produce and what he's done in the last couple of teams he's been at, and he seems exciting to be paired up with Dolabella in the midfield.
Yeah,
I think we could have a fun kind of 1-2, maybe even 3 combo if you keep Schneider in there as a starter. There's a lot of options. Also, double side note, I rewatched the Rowdies versus FC Naples highlights from the Jägermeister Cup game recently. Mostly just for fun. I was bored. I was eating lunch at home, working from home. And it's the first time I noticed Carson Henderlong. Obviously not he's on the Rowdies. Carson produced a ton of play like from the midfield. He made plays happen in that game. He was almost their sole source of attack in that game and their creative, looks and their dangerous opportunities in the attack. And we saw this recently from one of their closed door preseason games. We heard that he got an assist, and the video came out of him throwing in a beautiful little low driven cross. Something to keep an eye on, I think, is Henderlong's like playmaking ability going forward as well. I don't know if you noticed this past weekend. Obviously, I wouldn't know. He scores goals as a striker, but the more I've noticed about Carson Henderlong, the more excited I am about his ability to kind of drop back and make plays happen from the midfield as well. So not as a midfielder, but kind of bringing the ball up along with his teammates. So another preseason game under our belt, more cardio for the guys to kind of get in shape, obviously, before the regular season comes around. But just getting more and more excited as we see these guys continue to get minutes. So, James, unless you have anything else on this preseason game, we can start to move on. Obviously, I have nothing else. I wasn't there, but I trust your judgment and you telling us that we played a good 90 minutes if we discount those last 30 for some reason when we played 120. Move on?
Yeah. Let us actually move on now because, Carlos, we have our interview to get to. And I think that that's what most people are actually tuning in for as much as we can talk about this game. Yeah. So quickly, before we get to that, liking and subscribing is free. But if you think you might need some new threads coming up this year, you can help out our podcast just a little bit more by heading over to shop.rblrsports.com, checking out all the designs that we've got there. Hopefully, we will see you in some RBLR gear coming up over the course of the season. There will be a link in the description, and you can use the promo code COYR for 10% off of your order. Hopefully, like I said, we will see you in RBLR gear. And now let us get to our interview with Pedro Dolabella. All right, everyone, and here we are with our latest interview of a Tampa Bay Rowdy, yet another new Tampa Bay Rowdy. In fact, we are here with Pedro Dolabella. Pedro, thank you so much for joining us. I said this beforehand, but we always appreciate when Rowdy's players take the time to talk to fans because Carlos and I, we're not really, I don't know that we would consider ourselves pundits so much as just fans that happen to have a podcast here. But we appreciate you taking the time. And how are you doing tonight?
No, thanks for having me. Thanks for the invite. And I'm doing great. I just finished watching Champions League. And I was waiting to talk to you guys.
Yeah, some crazy stuff going on in the Champions League. I saw Jose get sent off, and there might be another racist incident going on in that game. So
crazy,
not the best, but obviously we'll avoid that topic for the time being. But Pedro, so we like to start out these conversations, and nothing too hard hitting here, but basically wanted to get a good background on how you got into soccer. For anybody who's unaware, you're from Brazil. Seems to be a pretty good soccer country, I would say. A lot of soccer being played there. But if you could get into your background and talk us through, your childhood with the game and how it was a part of your life.
Yes, of course. I'm from Brazil, so it's the only sport pretty much that we really live on our blood. So it's in Brazil, it's soccer or soccer. We say, everybody has played it before, or at least try to. Here we have a lot of options like baseball, football, basketball, but over there soccer is the main thing. So I started really early. My dad played soccer. I grew up watching him play, not professionally, but like every weekend I would go watch him play somewhere. And he would take me to training since I was like 4 years old, 5 years old. And we always had a team to support back home, which passed through generations and generations. So we always watch games together as well. So I play soccer since I can remember. In school, I started in a club there called Yacht Club, where I would play every weekend there and train during the week as well. And then it started getting more serious. I started to like it and really, do well, score a bunch of goals. And then I went to another small academy in Brazil when I was like 10 years old. And then when I was 12, I got recruited to play in São Paulo. And then I moved to São Paulo FC Academy when I was 13. So I left home very young to chase this dream. And
Awesome.
And then I moved there away from my parents for the first time when I was 13 years old, about to turn 14 back in 2013. And I was scared, like living home at this young age, leaving everything behind, friends, family, and my sister at home as well. But I always wanted to be a professional soccer player since the start. So I took a chance on that. And it was not easy, living with people that I've never, I wasn't friends with before, and everybody was there competing for a spot. In very young age, there was always this rivalry in training and games. But it was 2 years there that I learned a lot, how to act in the locker room, how to, behave in this environment. And I think it was a school for me in soccer. And and then I came back home after 2 years, and then I was grateful. I'm thankful for my parents that I always was able to speak English since a young age. I went to American school back home, and they, for some reason, they believed that maybe one day, it will help me a lot, and I'm glad they had that in mind, because in 2016 I ended up moving to the US to finish my high school, my senior year of high school in New Jersey, in Pennington, city very close to Princeton there, like 10 minutes away from the university. And that's when I started to see the horizon and like how sports work in America, and how, like people really value it. And even small things that you do on the weekend there, score a goal for the high school, they'll be in the news. So I think this sense of being an important person and being, supported throughout the community, I think really stuck with me of like continuing my development here in the US. And I felt like home since I got here back in 2016, and it's been almost 10 years now. So I'm very grateful for my journey that started over there in Pennington. And then I had the opportunity to go to Marshall University in 2017. The program was starting to be rebuilt with a new coach. And we went through very low times in my first 2 years there, 2017, 2018. But then in 2019, the program started turning around. I brought some friends from Brazil, and people from other places started to come to West Virginia. And then everything started to click. I started to believe in the success that there could be related to soccer. And I was so glad that I could do this Christian education and degree. And then, we were successful there. We, in my fourth season there after COVID, we won the national championship. I was captain of that team. And it's something that I'm very proud of, because of how I got there. At first, the university being ranked like 200 in the country in the Division One poll, and being kind of a joke among everybody. Nobody knew about it. And now, if you say Marshall University soccer in Brazil, everybody knows where it is, what program it is, the colors of the school. and all the success we had. And
That's really cool.
so it meant a lot to change that program around, and it's a very special place to me, West Virginia, and I had the chance to go back last year to visit Huntington. So yes, and then from there I went to Charlotte preseason. I didn't get drafted, but I went straight there, and it didn't work out. But things happen for a reason, you know. And then I ended up going to Rochester, which I had a good year over there. I had the good coaches and people that believed in me, that I was able to excel there. And then moved to Union Omaha. You know, Dom really wanted me there, and it was great being under his leadership and guidance. And we're very successful in Union Omaha, like you guys probably know from probably talking to Dom.
Yeah.
And after my time there, moved to North Carolina, but always having the Rowdies on my mind, that one day, hopefully, I would end up here. A lot of attraction, you know. It happened.
Yeah.
So very, very fortunate to be here talking to you guys and being able to be part of this club and community.
Well, hopefully,
Absolutely. Well, we
hopefully
appreciate
the weather,
that.
hopefully the weather in Tampa Bay is a bit more like you're used to in Brazil. I'll tell you that much. The adjustment to Huntington, West Virginia, Omaha, Rochester, I mean, that sounds a lot colder than that jump from Brazil. So hopefully,
for sure.
yeah, hopefully it's a bit nicer down in Tampa Bay. No, that's really cool. I'm glad you chatted with us about Marshall, because James and I, we talk about this a lot. We get into college soccer every once in a while when the podcast gets slow. The last like 10 minutes, we'll jump into whatever's happening in the world of soccer. Marshall has been one of my favorite stories of college soccer. So let me nerd out. If you're listening to this podcast, we'll talk about college soccer a little bit more. Marshall's been a really, really cool story because, like you said, kind of unknown in the soccer world, not like the college soccer powerhouses of Indiana, Clemson, recently Maryland. I'd like to throw Georgetown in there now. Hopefully in the 2019 championship, they've been pretty good. Marshall's kind of like on the outskirts, but like you said, you were part of that really cool turnaround, which I think is kind of rare to see such a dramatic turnaround in college sports without like all the NIL you see in football and in basketball. You can see that quicker, but to see that like organic turnaround is really, really cool in college soccer. But can you tell me a little bit about how, because to the outside world, to me as an observer looking at Pedro Dolabella's career, right? You moved to New Jersey, finish your year of high school soccer over there. How do you end up in Huntington, West Virginia? To the outsider, that sounds so random, but obviously, you know, things end up being a great success over there. What was Coach Grassi, the coach at Marshall University, what was his pitch to you? It's get out to Huntington, West Virginia, small town, kind of in the middle of nowhere.
To be honest, Carlos, I moved to the U.S. pretty much. The plan was to do 1 year of high school, you know, just to see how it is. I had a friend that came over here and he really enjoyed the experience in high school. So I'm like, okay, I'll go and see. And I didn't really get into college soccer until like later in the season in my high school. And to be honest, I didn't have any offers. No big schools wanted me, and I visited a few D3 schools because I really wanted to, and those were my options at the time. But at the time in the spring of 2017, Chris Grassi moved from a D2 school to Marshall University. And he had a very close connection with the company that brought me, with the agency that brought me to the US. And they saw that I was graduating and, you know, Chris, his first recruiting class. And then they pitched me to Chris and it worked out. And I never visited Huntington and never been in West Virginia before. So in the fall, I packed my bags from Brazil and went on this adventure.
That's awesome. That's really, really cool. I love that. Sorry, James. I love nerding about college soccer. We can talk about the USL and Rowdies more in a little bit. This is really cool.
No, that's fine, obviously.
No, because again, Marshall is so interesting. It started what's become a more popular kind of what's the word? Like blueprint of getting a lot of international guys together and seeing what works in college soccer. Right? Oh my God, who's the team that just recently won with a good amount of international players? I'm blanking. No, Washington, a lot of homegrown guys. I'm blanking at the moment. Vermont. That's right. Vermont had a lot of international guys. And I remember watching Marshall versus Georgetown 2021, looking at the roster, and it's like obviously Dolabella, Brazil, German guys. There's more Brazilian guys. I'm like, where does Grassy find these guys? It's so fascinating to see how these rosters are built in college soccer, and it's a template that I think a lot of schools that we might not consider powerhouses in the traditional sense are going to start or continue to follow. So I think you might have helped start a trend in college soccer, for better or worse. I think it's going to be good stuff. It'll make for great competition. It's really
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Love this. So we can talk about college soccer forever on another podcast, James. But we can start asking about the Rowdies and USL. That's what people I think are here to talk about. Pedro, your time at Union Omaha, I want to jump into that really quickly too before I let James ask some questions. This is really fun. Obviously, I mentioned before we started recording, there's some guys that are coming into this new squad, of a bunch of new faces to each other and to fans that already knew each other, right? Obviously, a few guys from Marshall University and Max Schneider and Nathan Dos Santos. There's a cohort from Union Omaha that Dom's bringing over with him from his time over there. Tell me about what it's like. Well, first of all, tell me a little bit about your time in Omaha and what it was like having Dom as a coach already. For those of us that are just still kind of getting used to the Dominic Casciato way. And second of all, can you tell us a little bit about what it's like adjusting to a new locker room, already knowing at least a handful of guys?
No, of course. First of all, like talking about Union Omaha, how it was to play there and under Dom, I feel like if you see the players from that squad and that Union Omaha brings, they all have like been through good moments in soccer over here, in the US or other places. They've been successful. So maybe a bunch of the players were like not underappreciated because obviously Union Omaha is an incredible club, but like they had this chip on their shoulders. They're like, okay, like we have big potential to play maybe somewhere in a higher league and fight for bigger things. So I feel like in an environment where a club already had success in the past, they had won the league once and the regular season twice. I feel like it was a great place to put all these hungry dogs, let's say, in a place where you could excel. And it showed over there. Like we broke so many records. We won 10 games in a row. We had like a 19 game spell that we didn't lose from 23 to 24. We had the best regular season twice in a row, and I feel like it just shows like how the mentality was, like obviously you're always trying to push yourself to the limit and try to be the best version to achieve greatness. And I feel like how it was. And like talking to Dom, obviously we've been a year apart, but like how so much I feel like I have improved from that year that I was with him, and he has improved, and the whole coaching staff. So I feel like we're always looking to get better and to, hopefully represent the Rowdies really well this year.
That's awesome. Glad to hear it. I mean, I obviously you're coming into the context of knowing how the season went last year. I think fans are kind of just itching for a great bounce back season. Yeah. I think personally, I can say, obviously knowing the success that Coach Casciato had in Omaha with a bunch of the guys he's bringing over to the Rowdies now, I think we're all pretty excited. And maybe we can talk about this a little later on too, but it doesn't seem like to the casual observer, James and I, that the gap between League One and Championship is all that dramatic, right? It seems like it's a pretty, bringing all these League One guys could actually end up working out despite what we might consider, a lower division, right? So I think personally, James, I'm pretty excited about this project. So I'll toss it over to you before I keep taking up our time.
Well, actually, that was my question. It's a perfect segue here for our guest, Mr. Dolabella. You moved, obviously, from Union Omaha to North Carolina and now joining Tampa Bay Rowdies, and we're all, of course, happy to have you. But, my question is, generally, what would you say the differences are between League One and the USL Championship? I would say that probably there isn't as much difference as people would assume. But that being said, there are going to be some amount of differences, especially at the top of the table of the championship and the lower end of the table of League One. So I'm sure that there will be some differences. But yeah, how did you take on the transition from League One to Championship, and where do you see those big differences, I guess.
James, I think the biggest difference that I saw, not discrediting any league whatsoever, but like actually saying good things about the USL Championship. It's a very, very competitive league. Like every team, every game is difficult. Every team can win every game pretty much. Every game is a battle, which like sometimes in the USL League One with differences on like investment from clubs to clubs, you can see this gap. Maybe it's closing it down a little bit now with the growth of the league, but I feel like in the USL Championship with teams that already been here in the past, with tradition, with a big fan base, and with people that really care to be part of, a club with a lot of history, I feel like every game is a battle, and it's not easy, but so you have to be on the top of your game every game, because you face very harsh environments throughout the year, and playing Hartford away, playing Pittsburgh away, it's not easy, and those are the games that can win you a championship in the end of the year, because every point matters, and every game is a final. You need the 3 points pretty much every game you play.
Yeah, I mean, Rowdies fans are definitely more aware of that after 2025, I think, than they were previously, because speaking for myself, possibly we took things a little for granted when we were having success in the past that we obviously didn't replicate last year. So you're absolutely right. Every 3 points is on the line, and it is a battle. Moving over now to the Rowdies specifically, I wanted to ask you, for the sake of fans who might not be aware of you, I think that some of us have a generally good idea of the player that you have been, especially from North Carolina. We have seen you as an opponent, obviously, but now on the field for the Rowdies, what is the type of player that fans should expect to see? Where do you excel on the field, and what kind of positions do you try to take up?
I've played many positions in my journey in the US. I played as a 9, I played as an 8. Last year I played as a right winger. But I'm a player that I try to understand pretty much the tactics of the team, the way the team wants to play, and execute my role as best as possible. And I feel like I'm very, very comfortable playing in the position that I'm playing here right now as a midfielder. That's the position I've played my whole career before becoming pro and everything. And I'm a player I'm a hungry player. I'm not gonna stop running a single minute. I'm always trying to be the guy that covers the most ground on the field, and I've done it in every place I've been. I'm not the guy that's gonna be happy with being average. I want to lift trophies, and I've lifted trophies in most clubs and places that I've been to. So I know what it takes to win, and you got to be there every day. And I try to be different a little bit in a way of trying to score a lot of goals. And I obviously scoring goals is amazing. It's the best feeling you can have as a soccer player after winning a trophy, I would say. And I try to get in the box a lot, because I think when you get close to goal, that good things happen. And yeah, I think the work rate, and I mean, in a few games in season, I think you guys have seen maybe how the hunger of the team, how we like to press, how we like to play in a high tempo, to always try to attack the goal. And I feel like this fits my style of play, perfectly.
Gotcha. Well, I think that, first of all, fans are going to love the attitude of wanting to win every game, obviously, but also being the guy who literally wants to cover the most grass in every game. I think that that's something that Rowdies fans that's probably something that a lot of fans would turn to, but definitely Rowdies fans as well would appreciate that. So that's obviously a good sign. Let's get on to your time with the Rowdies a little bit more. You've only been here for a couple of months, and so far it's been preseason stuff, but I was lucky enough to take in the game against Montreal this past weekend. Should have been a 2-0 win if we played to 90 minutes, but that's fine, because it's obviously just preseason. So Yeah, I wanted to ask you, Pedro, how has the transition been in joining this team? What has it been like to? You do know a couple of guys from prior teams that you've been with in the past, and obviously you know the coach a little bit here. So yeah, what is the transition been like moving from North Carolina to this new system at Al Lang and getting prepared for the upcoming season?
I forgot to. This was a bit of the second part of the question.
We circled back. We got there.
But it's good that you asked again. No, I'm very fortunate that I've played with plenty of the guys here before. I played with Nathan Max at Marshall. I played with the Omaha guys. I played with North Carolina with Evan and Louis, and obviously we played against a bunch of them throughout our journey in the US. So I feel like this locker room, it's not been hard to get used to because of how many people I knew before, but I think it's the biggest transition when you're used to a whole year somewhere and then you go like, oh, new guys every time. But I feel like everybody here, it's been so open to getting to know each other and, having this common goal in mind and, very willing to, make this group as tight as possible from the start. That's why we started preseason earlier as well than most clubs. And I mean, it's been showing that I think playing for MLS clubs, we playing better than I think most of them. We are the results in the end 2-2, a bunch of 2-2s. But we've been winning most games. And then in the end, whatever. We have to put some trial lists and stuff, and the results end up not showing what the actual game is. So I think that's a lot of things to look forward to in this team, because we're in a high level, and I think as the months go by and the team gets more chemistry, I think there's a lot of potential for us this year.
Yeah, absolutely. I will just reiterate again that Montreal ended the game 2-2, but that was after 120 minutes where, just like you said, the Rowdies were up at 90 minutes 2-0. So, it's not to knock any of the trialists or any of the substitutions that came on later on in the game, but yeah, it was obviously a very good result for the team overall. But with that, I will turn it over to Carlos to get in any other questions you've got.
No, this is great. I mean, James, you're diving right into the line of questioning I'm going into here with preseason. Obviously, like you said, a few preseason games under our belt at this point. Have a couple games with fans in attendance, even though it's preseason, light crowds and everything at the moment. Unfortunately, I'm not close to the area. I wish I could have been at them already. But as the season starts to kind of come into view, right? March is just around the corner, which is crazy. The regular season's kind of looming now. Couple more preseason games to go. Can you tell us about what are a couple things that you're looking forward to in this new experience in Tampa Bay with the Rowdies? Maybe, and I've asked this the last couple of times we've chatted with some Rowdies players. Maybe one Rowdies related thing, and then one Tampa Bay related thing, right? What's something new you're looking forward to, excited about the Rowdies experience, and maybe something new about the Tampa Bay experience, being in Tampa or St. Pete or wherever it is that you're living. Can you tell us a little bit about something that's exciting you in this transition to my favorite city in the world, in Tampa?
No, absolutely. I feel like the thing I'm looking for the most right now is the first game that we play at home in LA in front of all the fans. I feel like I'm speaking for me and for my teammates. I feel like we can't wait to get started. I know we play away March 7 in Birmingham, but it's different when you play at home. And we want to make this place our fortress. We want to have this feeling of you come to our home, you're not going to beat us no matter what. We're gonna go after you from minute 1 until minute 90. So I feel like the first game we're all very excited for when the whistle blows for the first time. And like you said, and to talk about the city and the area, I feel like you nailed it. Tampa is incredible. I've never seen such a nice city like Tampa in the US, and not only because of so many places to go to the beach and all, but so many events going on. I had the chance to go to a Lightning game
Nice.
against Florida Panthers, and where they had all the fights. And wow, that was so fun. And
Great.
and you have the Indy race coming up too, which is gonna be another
Yeah.
thing. So I feel like we're so fortunate to be in a city, in an area, in the Tampa Bay area, that there's so much stuff going on, and so many chances to go outside and like be close to the community. So I feel like it's one thing that I'm very looking forward to, is like talking to the fans at the games and the events, and like trying to, bring the team closer to the community. I think it's one big thing that I'm looking for this year.
That's really cool. No, I think especially now is a really important time to, know that players like yourself, who hopefully have a big role on this successful team this year, are in the community, engage with the fans. I think, James, we've talked about this a lot, the future of the league and the future of the Rowdies and the club as a whole. I think these are important years, right? Like, continuing to expose the community to the brand, and those who haven't been to a game, to get them out to a game, continue to keep bringing those fans to games who regularly do go. So personally, I love hearing that, Pedro. That's a mission and an opportunity for you and the guys in the locker room. Side note, all the fights at the hockey game, is that something we should bring to soccer? Should we let the refs just let guys go at it when there's a hard tackle or something? I don't know. I'd like to see Pedro Dolabella go at it with like Enzo Martinez or something.
Martinez.
Let's keep them in hockey. I think we had some plays on the Montreal game that will leave it there, but there was an exciting game on that note. But let's keep the fights in hockey. I think they're better fighters than us. We'll keep playing our game.
Yeah, I like that. It's probably the right answer here. Okay. Pedro, this has been great. James, should we jump into some rapid fire questions here?
Yes, we can do that. And I just want to start that off real quickly. You mentioned earlier a couple of things that I had that piqued my interest. You said that obviously in Brazil, it's soccer or soccer pretty much growing up. But I wanted to ask, have you been watching the Winter Olympics? Because apparently Brazil has earned its first ever gold medal in the Winter Olympics. Surprising for me, but I think that was a little bit interesting.
Absolutely, something that we're very happy about. And I mean, Lucas Pinheiro, it's his name. He was born actually in Oslo, Norway. We took him as one of our own.
It counts.
One of his parents is from Brazil, and he was talking that in Norway they didn't let him be himself, be happy and samba and all that. But in Brazil, everything is welcome here. You can be one of us, and thank you for him for bringing this first Olympic gold medal.
There you go.
First winter medal for any South American country, I recently learned. By the way.
Wow.
Crazy.
It doesn't snow in Brazil, by the way. So even more impressive.
Yeah. I mean, that's insane. Follow-up question, Pedro. As we get into, James, I mentioned rapid fire questions. These are our hotly contested, most controversial political questions. No, I'm joking. We're not talking politics. What is, if you weren't playing soccer, let's pretend that you were born in Oslo, Norway. What is your Winter Olympic sport of choice that you would be playing in, or competing in, or dancing in, if you were a Winter Olympian? I
mean, in the past, I used to ski before I started getting into professional soccer when you're not allowed to anymore. But I don't know. I really like to watch curling. The first time I watched curling, I'm like, wow, there's a lot of strategy involved in this game. So it struck my interest, and I used to watch it with my grandfather. So maybe curling, who knows?
Ooh.
Yeah, curling is a very interesting thing that like everybody forgets about it until the Olympics, and then everybody kind of focuses on it all over again. And it's the controversy surrounding curling right now has really taken over a lot of sporting discourse. So that's kind
fun.
Of interesting.
It's been really fun.
It's a version of cornhole, maybe.
Yeah, kind of
ice cornhole. Yeah. No, I've never been more patriotic in the Winter Olympics. I've been like, wearing my USA. I'm like, yeah, let's go. When they're going crazy in that. That's hilarious. Pedro, I'll ask you one more rapid fire question here. What is your favorite Brazilian dish?
Okay,
Can we
good
get it?
question.
Yeah, this is a good cuisine question here.
As a typical Brazilian, I love grilling. So
Okay.
definitely Brazilian barbecue. I know we have a couple of steak houses around here, Brazilian steak houses. So definitely when I go home, that's the first thing I do. I go and grill with my friends, spend a whole afternoon eating a nice steak, a nice picanha, telling
Yeah.
stories and catching up. So I feel like it's a it's a religion more. It's like an event, that you involve not only eating but like hanging out with your friends.
I love it. Is there a really good one that you've found in the Timbe area so far? Have you had a chance to explore much?
I haven't been yet, but
Okay.
we grilled in the training facility when we first got
Ooh.
here. It was incredible.
That's
It was
awesome.
a great event we had.
Why can you invite James and I next time we're
Yeah.
doing
Next time
next time we're doing a grill back there? I'll fly down from Virginia. I'll get down there.
Perfect.
James, toss it over to you. You got anything to throw in here?
Yes. The other thing that I wanted to ask you, based on your one of your prior answers, was that teams were passed down in Brazil through generations of family members. So I wanted to know, who was your team growing up in Brazil?
That's a tough question. I'm not so sure we were supposed to reveal it. My heart is with the Rowdies right now, but
Okay.
I'll give that to you guys. I used to support Botafogo growing up.
Okay.
Oh,
But,
okay.
as you get into, when it becomes your job, you're like kind of, not follow. You can't suffer as much, I would say, because you're
Yeah,
so
that makes
focused
sense.
on your current team that like you kind of separated. But there you go.
Yeah, that makes sense. But
like
it seems to be a pretty good time to be a Botafogo fan. So just put that out there. All right. Well, I don't want to keep you too much longer because we've already gone over the 30-minute mark. I will just ask you one more of my usual questions here. What is who is the best player that you have played with, either with or against, in your career?
With or against in my career? Okay, that's a good question. I have to think about it, but like growing up, I used to in São Paulo there were really really good players growing up, and like today I was just watching Juventus and Galatasaray before their Real Madrid game, and there's a player Brazilian in the middle called Gabriel Sara. And he's a star. He plays with Osimhen, and he scored a goal today against Juventus and had an assist. And he used to live like next door to me, and we played in São Paulo growing up for 2 years. Incredible guy. I hope he gets a call up to the national team because he's been killing it. So I would say him. Gabriel is now showing that he's like the best player.
Yeah, that's a pretty good pull right there, I would say, Carlos. Somebody who scored in the Champions League today, you really can't do much better than that, can you?
And assisted.
Yeah, you're right.
He had a good game, and they came back and won against Juventus. So good day for him, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. It's good stuff. Well, James, unless you have anything else, I'm going to go ahead and thank you, Pedro, for joining us. This has been really great, and is personally fascinating for me because of my love for college soccer. So this has been good chatting college soccer, chatting Marshall, Coach Grasty, and the Rowdies with you. And obviously we're looking forward to the 2026 season. It's crazy. We're coming up on the start of the year already. I know you said you're looking forward to that first home game. I know we'll have some Rowdies fans at that first game in Birmingham. So hopefully a little bit of that atmosphere out there. I'm so excited for the start of the new year. James and I are already chatting about, making it out to some away games. And we talked about this earlier, like getting out to Brooklyn, getting to some of the cool away games. Like we're so excited for the year to come around. And I think you'll hopefully find a really warm, exciting, welcoming, passionate fan base in Tampa Bay behind you at all the home games and hopefully a lot of the away games too. So Pedro, it's been a pleasure to have you. Best of luck this year. We're obviously rooting for you.
No, absolutely. Thank you, Carlos. Thank you, James, for inviting me to be part of the podcast. I'm looking forward to meeting you guys in person. So hopefully I see you two at a game soon.
Or the next grill at the training facility.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the next time we're grilling at the facility.
I'll send the invite for sure.
We'll get down there. Appreciate it.
All right. Well, thank you again. And that was our interview with Pedro Dolabella, a new midfielder for the Tampa Bay Rowdies, somebody who has a lot to give us, I think, on the field. And I think that we got a pretty good taste of that this past weekend, but also it was really good to talk to him and see how he views not only his style, his playing career, but this team that they're building up.
Yeah. I love college soccer, and I live down the road from Georgetown, and I love going to the college soccer games over there. So I love kind of seeing how people come up in the college soccer system here in the U.S. It's so interesting right now how international it's becoming, and he was a big part of one of the first really successful teams that were able to use that as a kind of turnaround point for their program. I was so perplexed when I was watching that game back in 2021 about how the hell Coach Grassi is convincing these guys from Brasilia, Brazil, and Germany, and he had some Spanish guys in there as well. Like, how are you convincing these guys to go to like far out West Virginia? It was crazy to me at the time to think about. What's the name of the town Marshall's in? We just said it. We were just talking about this.
Morgantown, right?
No, it's the University of West Virginia, or West Virginia University. It's the other one, the other city in West Virginia that I can't remember at the moment. So it's cool to get his opinion on that and just think about kind of Huntington. By the way, it's Huntington. How he came up in the soccer landscape in the U.S. I think he's gotten a really kind of authentic grassroots experience of how things happen here, right? Like scoring high school soccer and winning the state championship over there, and being a local celebrity in Huntington, a small town that really rallies around Marshall University. It's like cult-like. It's really cool. Like their fan base is just really intense across all the sports, especially recently soccer. I think he's got a great feel for how soccer works in this country, and he's got his USL experience already, and made the USL championship jump last year. I think he's ready for what maybe might be slightly brighter lights here at Al Lang Stadium. So obviously we wish him all the best. I'm super excited to have him and have his 6'4" frame in the midfield, scoring some headers as well every once in a while. He's got a lot to offer this team. So thrilled to have him on my side in green and gold, James.
Yeah, I cannot agree more. For anybody who wants to see him, maybe you would like to get a sneak preview. Well, there are two opportunities. Either you are a season ticket holder and you can go tonight when this podcast comes out, Wednesday, the 18th of February, and you can see us play against Naples. Or if you are not a season ticket holder, or actually, it doesn't really matter if you are a season ticket holder or not, this Saturday, the Rowdies will take on Sarasota Paradise as part of the Cocal Cup. Again, this is a charity competition, named after a former USL HQ executive. If you would like to go to that, these are ticketed events, so you would have to purchase the ticket. It is a charity event, so all of the money is going towards that charity. But it is a good reason to go see the Rowdies take on not only Sarasota, but hopefully build up a little bit of a local rivalry. That's what I'm expecting. So go to those games and any other preseason game that you can make it to. And that's my opinion. Carlos, do we have anything else to hit on before we get out of here?
No, that's about it. Thanks again to Pedro for joining us. It was a great chat. He's a great guy who seems to have an incredible work ethic, and I'm looking forward to seeing him on the field for your Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Absolutely. All right. And with that, we will get everybody out of here. Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. We always appreciate when you do. Please follow RBLR Sports on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Threads, Blue Sky, anywhere you are. We are there at RBLR Sports. I'm mostly on Twitter at RBLR James K. You can use the hashtag AskRBLR, or you can reach Carlos
at Carlos2PA10. Yeah, always feel free to reach out, throw in a question with hashtag AskRBLR. It's been so much fun chatting with these Rowdies players over the past couple of weeks and looking ahead to the next couple interviews and chats we have lined up. There's so many people we got to talk to, James, and I think it makes this a lot of fun, you and I chatting, and hopefully it makes listening a lot more interesting too.
Yeah.
Not that you don't like listening to James and I every week, but always good to get the insight of some folks who are, on the ground doing the work or who have been there. So love chatting with these guys. Hopefully you are too.
Exactly. Like and subscribe to our podcast. You can get the full experience on YouTube. We are also on Spotify, the iHeartRadio app, Apple and Google Podcasts, basically wherever podcasts are,
Everywhere.
we are there too, everywhere. So we are closer to the season starting, and we will see you there. Come on, you Rowdies.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.